welcome to Weather Seekers podcast here at NWS Juneau. I'm meteorologist Caleb Cravens, and today we have our Warning Coordinating Meteorologist Nicole Ferrin with us.
Hi, Caleb.
How's it going?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Part of the series of the podcast is we want to bring in our staff here at the WFO and introduce them to the people at home and our listeners. So tell us a little bit about yourself. And you're the first person with a different title other than meteorologist. You're the Warning Coordinating Meteorologist. So please explain to us what that means.
Sure. In a nutshell, I am the face of our office. I'm the one that goes out and meets with our partners and city officials and make sure that they know how to receive our warnings. So that's where the warning coordination part comes from. And meeting with those partners and building those relationships before a significant weather event happens is really important. Making sure that they know who to contact if they need additional weather information.
So you would say that you're almost like a program manager almost. You're managing the warning, the messaging, the public-facing program of the office.
Sure, yeah. And then another part of the job is making sure that our forecasters, like yourself, know how to get that message out to our partners and who need it. So I'm trying to make your job easier by building those connections.
Right. So I will say that this is a new position for you, right?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that, how you found yourself in the position you are in now.
Well, the public outreach part of our job has always been really exciting for me. And so any opportunity I had to get out of the office and do those things, I tried to do. So I've been at Juneau since 2011, right. And I came here as a forecaster. And so getting out into the public in Southeast Alaska has been a great thing. And I've moved up through the ranks to be a lead forecaster over the years. And now this is the next phase.
Yeah, exactly. So let's take a few steps back. We kind of addressed what you're doing now. But let's take it way back to the beginning. Let's take it back to your childhood and what got you interested into meteorology. Where did you go to school, and when did you know you wanted to work for the Weather Service?
Well, I probably have a more unique path than most meteorologists. I definitely remember a few big events from when I was a kid. I grew up mostly in upstate New York, Schenectady County area. I was born here in Southeast Alaska in Haines, actually.
So that's something interesting that not many of us can say is that you actually were born in Alaska.
Yeah, it's actually pretty unique for people that are younger than me. Can't really say this, but I was born in the clinic in Haines. Most people in Haines now get sent down to Juneau.
That in itself.
Yeah, not very many people are born in the clinic anymore up there. And that actually was in a snowstorm, according to my mom. Wow. I was born in a snowstorm in Haines.
Well, that's perfect.
It does. And then I went to most of my elementary school in upstate New York, like I said. And I remember the superstorm of 93. Mm-hmm. That was a nor'easter. We just got dumped on. And I remember one of my uncles had plowed the snow in our driveway, and me and my sister could sled down it for like all winter.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah. And then in high school, I had a really great earth science teacher in 9th grade that taught the meteorology portion. And that got me kind of intrigued by it. 3rd grade, I remember we got to look at it was one of the class jobs every day. Mm-hmm. Like someone for the week had to put the weather up on the board. And I remember that being really fun.
Yeah, a lot of times it seems there is that those teachers, it's kind of like a pivotal moment in your academic career where you realize that you want to pursue this as a career, or you have that class about clouds. For me, it was clouds. We had a class on clouds. And I remember that was really what started it.
Yeah, those teachers are critical to building our future scientists.
Oh, for sure. I have a few that come to my mind that I can credit to some of my success.
Yeah, we did the cloud in a bottle, the one where you squeeze it and it makes a cloud in my 9th grade earth science, and I was just like, what?
Right, it blows your mind as a little kid.
That's
one of the things that you can do in your position is do the outreach side of the house.
Yeah, you and I have gone to a few schools and shown kids that, and it's pretty fun to build those future scientists.
So you kind of explained to us a little bit about where the fascination began. So where did you go to college?
I picked my school before picking my major, actually.
Okay.
I had a cousin that was going to SUNY Oswego, and I went to visit her when I was starting to look at different schools. And I saw that I really liked the school because it was right on Lake Ontario. They had lakefront property.
I saw some pictures. I did not know that when I was building where we all went to universities, and I pulled up pictures of that school, and I was like, this is a beautiful campus.
Yeah, it really was. And so I think I kind of fell in love with the campus first. And then I was going down through the list of majors when I had to check that box after being accepted. I'm like, what? You can get a bachelor's degree in meteorology? Like, cool, I'll try it.
Right.
And then by my senior year, I was the president of our meteorology club and coordinating office tours to National Weather Service offices.
Wow. So that was leading into my next question was like how you found out about the Weather Service. Was it through your school that you kind of got to know the National Weather Service?
Yeah, I actually had never heard of the National Weather Service before going to college. I didn't even know what an AFD is or the way that the forecast was made. So going to visit National Weather Service offices really cemented that in my mind that was going to be my path versus taking a broadcast meteorology path or something like that.
That's what I was going to ask you. Did you look into any other careers before being exposed to the Weather Service at all? Were you considering broadcasting or for the private sector at all?
I really wasn't, but it was through my American Meteorological Society student chapter, our student chapter in school. We had club meetings where we invited guest speakers, or we would go to see them at their studio. So we visited some studios and things in the Syracuse area, but we also visited the Weather Service office in Buffalo, Binghamton, and Burlington, Vermont.
Oh, wow.
To tour a lot of different Weather Service offices across the Northeast and New York State. So I saw how they all affected their areas by issuing the warnings.
That's really cool. That's one thing I wished we had done at my school was doing some tours of like local surrounding offices. That would have been really nice to kind of like give students the idea of if this is a career path that you want to pursue.
Yeah, and then we also got to go to a few different conferences, and they were mostly held by student chapters of the AMS and public speakers from other forecast offices in the area would come and also give presentations. So we got to do a little bit of networking, and I got to meet an alumni of our school that worked at a Weather Service office.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, his name's Brooke Tabor. He's a great guy. He's a lead forecaster at the Burlington, Vermont office, and he helped. Yeah, shout out to Brooke Tabor. He gave me a lot of guidance when I ultimately applied for the forecast office there, and that was extremely helpful. I give him a lot of credit for helping me get into the Weather Service.
Yeah, I would say that was for anyone out there who is interested in pursuing a career into the National Weather Service or any really, whether it be broadcasting or private sector, is your connections are really important as you're going through college, because same thing for me. I started doing a summer internship, and through that I was able to make some connections, and you kind of get your foot in the door into the agency, and you can find out like how to apply for the job, what offices have openings. It really can give you kind of a step up when it comes to applying for jobs when you graduate.
Yeah, and having just someone to proofread your resume.
Exactly.
That's golden.
So when did you graduate?
2007.
And so once you graduated, where did you go from there?
Well, actually, I had a hard time getting to the Weather Service at that point. There were not that many openings, and so I started applying outside, and one of my fellow graduates from my same class year, he got a position at the Bermuda Weather Service,
Right.
which is run by a private company for the public there in Bermuda. And so I ended up going there by August of 2007, and I stayed there for about 2.5 years. And we had a really unique location. We did the forecast for the whole island, and our forecast went out on a public broadcast TV channel.
Okay.
Basically, it was the old school slideshow of the forecast.
Okay.
And then we would do radio interviews, kind of like we do here, and we wrote the forecast for the airport, the TAF.
I would say that's probably got to be a pretty epic jump, going from school, trying to get a job, and then jumping into Bermuda of all places,
Yeah.
in a field that you were just getting started in.
Yeah, and I was the forecaster, and we had just one forecaster on duty at a time. We worked 12-hour shifts, so we had a day shift and a night shift, and then the only other person in the office with us at night was the observer, and so I was in charge. If I had to issue a warning, that was my responsibility.
So you probably walked away from that job with probably some pretty good experiences and some takeaways.
Yeah, I was able to check a lot of the boxes once I wanted to apply for the National Weather Service to say, yes, I've had experience doing all of these things. Yeah, and marine forecast, especially being an island.
I'm sure it's huge there. So how long did you spend there in Bermuda? 2 years?
2.5,
Two and a
yeah.
half. And then you went where?
Burlington, Vermont, as an intern.
Okay, so then that's where you were your intern.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there...
About just over a year, I was there from January 2010 to April 2011, and that's when I moved to Juneau. I got a promotion to a general forecaster here.
Now, if I recall, you had been to Juneau before, right, in this office?
Yeah, in my junior year of college, I got a summer, it was called a STEP at that time. It was a summer hire.
Kind of like an internship, maybe? Or a volunteer?
Yeah, like what most summer internships that college students would do. And it was a paid internship, so it was pretty nice.
Yeah, so kind of like the Pathways program.
Yeah, that would be the new version of our Pathways, except for this program in particular didn't have a direct hire potential.
Right. So that, would you say, was one of the reasons why you applied for Juneau?
Yeah, coming back to Alaska was really important to me because, right, I've got a lot of family still in Haines. My dad and now since I've gotten married, my in-laws are there.
Right.
And but the hiring manager, the boss at the time, he had hired me for the summer program, and so then it was a really quick connection with the staff here at the office since I already knew so many people from my summer.
So I'm sure it was a big homecoming, coming back, 2011, it was familiar, back to Alaska. So from then till now, you've been with us. What's some takeaways? What did you learn along the way? Now you find yourself in the WCM position. What are your passions that you've realized with your time here in Juneau?
It sounds like an easy question, but I would say my takeaways are, gosh, it's hard to forecast here.
Yeah, it really is. It's the repeating topic is that it is a bit challenging to forecast here.
It is, and it takes a lot of time and effort to get the details into the forecast, and it's every day to put in the work. The marine forecast is extremely critical and really near and dear to my heart. My dad's a commercial fisherman.
Right.
Here he's out fishing today, and so all of him and his friends in Lynn Canal, they're checking that marine forecast every day, and that's life and safety on the day-to-day basis. It's not just when we have the big events. That is every day people relying on our forecast to do their job.
Yeah, I think that's one of my selling points when I talk to people outside the office is that, in some other offices, you put the forecast out and you could almost say that there aren't nearly as many people that are basing their living on the forecast as much so as they do here, because we are such a marine heavy office where the people throughout Southeast Alaska, that's their way of life. They're on
Right.
it daily. And so the forecast for them is, they're checking it every day.
Right. And like you got, a roofer or a lawn care company, even in the lower 48, checking the forecast so that they can go to work. But we've got those guys here too. But if it's going to rain, that's going to affect their job. But it's not going to necessarily be a life and safety question on the day-to-day part of the forecast. Like whether or not to anchor up for the night in a south-facing inlet or a north-facing one.
Right.
That makes a big difference.
Yeah, so part of our mission is protecting life and property, but also enhancing the national economy. And I think one of the things is that in Southeast Alaska and just the Gulf of Alaska in general, the amount of commerce that goes through this place.
It's an incredible amount of commerce.
By
yeah.
millions of dollars. And all those ships are looking at our forecast and making decisions on that. You have a big storm that goes into the Gulf. I mean, it will delay those barges, and and I know here in Juneau, one of the things I had to get used to when I moved here was the barge not coming to town and your supplies being like a week late.
Yeah, that would definitely be critical. Or someone building a house.
Yeah, that's another big one.
Then there's suppliers, coming in on the barge are delayed, and then that snowballs to everything else. So the weather's affecting all facets of our life, even if you don't think the weather's affecting you every day. It is.
Definitely is.
Yeah.
Well, I think what we tell the kids when we go and talk, give our outreach school talks, is one of the exercises we give them is that we ask them, you wake up and it's 60 degrees outside, or you wake up and it's 30 degrees outside. What are you dressing today? Like, how are you dressing? And just to show them that, the weather drives their daily actions. The first thing they wake up, what am I going to wear,
Yeah, they might not realize but they're making a decision based on the weather. And then we also tell them, like, okay, it might be sunny outside right now, but you don't know unless you check our forecast if it's going to be raining by the time you have your second recess. And you might want to have your extra tufts and your raincoat to go out for recess.
So with you in the WCM position now, it's you have been in what now? A few weeks?
Couple months.
Wow, it's already flown by. With shift work on, I see you once every couple weeks, every now and then at a time. But would you mind sharing with us kind of what are your initial thoughts and goals for what you want to do in the WCM program?
Well, building the relationships with our core partners is definitely key. So reaching out to some of them and making sure we've got the right folks on our email lists for when our fall storms start showing up again, and making sure our staff knows how to execute all the things we do after we hit send on a warning. We've got some new folks in the office, so making sure they're trained up on that. And then some of our call to action statements, making sure that they're relevant to Southeast Alaska. That's a goal of mine in the next year.
Yeah, that's a big one we see sometimes. They're very lower 48 focused a little bit, and so you have things that are more Alaska centric.
Right.
There's a difference.
Yeah, we have some communities without any roads, so we don't need to let them know to watch the morning commute and things like that. So adjusting our local statements to be relevant to our community.
Right. Is there anything that you would share with the public that's listening now? How can they interact with us better in the office? How can they get in touch with us? Where can they go to find the forecast? Things like that.
Yeah, weather.gov/Juneau is what I find the easiest way for folks to get the forecast. It should be easy enough to remember without even having to write it down, weather.gov. If you can at least remember that, then just click on Southeast Alaska on the map and you'll get to our locally managed page. And then we're also on social media. We're on Facebook, NWS Juneau, and Twitter with the same handle, NWS Juneau. And we've got a YouTube channel and, all those good things. Instagram. Send us a comment and we'll get back to you.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say that not many people may realize we have social media. because as a government agency, maybe that doesn't strike you as something that they would go to first to look for the forecast.
Well, sure, but maybe not look to first. It's an extra product.
Yeah.
I would definitely say that. Going to our website to check the latest forecast is important because sometimes, the algorithms on different social media pages might be showing information that's a little outdated. We see some people liking a post from maybe a month ago, and our weather changes too fast for that. But we try to get the most important, significant weather also on our social media posts because we really want to push the safety messages to the community, make sure that they know the information that we're putting out there for those significant weather events.
Yeah, I would say as an agency as a whole, it seems that there's kind of this paradigm shift in today's age is where we're trying to be more public facing. The reason why we're doing this podcast today. We want to connect with the people out there. We want to put a face behind the forecast. We're just not a government agency, like robots putting the forecast out there. We're people just like you out there.
Yeah, we hand edit it.
Yeah, exactly. And we're doing more messaging, messaging the forecast so that you, the listeners at home, can make decisions more effectively.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share with us, Nicole?
I'm really happy to see the podcast coming back online. I was here in the first iteration of it, and our dear friend, forecaster Wes, was the spearhead of it, and I think he'd be really proud that we're keeping it going.
I hope he's listening.
I'm sure he is.
I gave him a shout out, and I also gave Dan a shout out
on
our first episode for our logo.
Oh yeah, he's a great artist.
Yeah. So, well, thank you, Nicole, for being here today. I'm meteorologist Caleb Cravens and Warning Coordinating Meteorologist Nicole Ferrin, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining.